So my band Every Waking Moment just dropped its first single in like 2 years or so, minus one remix we did earlier in the year. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through what we're doing to market the song. And people for a while have been asking me, what do you do in a campaign when it's not going well? And I have shown some examples of campaigns that don't perform well in the past, but this is going to be another one of those. So the ad campaign's not going that hot, and you're going to see kind of me trying to figure it out and make it better when I walk through the ad campaign. Over in meta ads, you can see there's like a bazillion ad sets with different things here. We're going to cover that. The song has about 17,000 streams in Spotify. It's been out for about a week and a half to 2 weeks. Yeah, almost 2 weeks, as it'll be tomorrow. And we're also going to walk through the Apple Music stats and also the YouTube Music stats as well. So what are we doing for this campaign, or what have we done thus far? Well, obviously, if you know me at all, there's a big fat meta ad campaign set up for conversions, driving people to this landing page in particular. What I have done in this case, and this is a unique call, and I might end up reverting this, is I've decided to rank Spotify third in here to see what happens. Apple Music pays about double Spotify. YouTube Music pays about triple Spotify. Qobuz pays like a penny a stream. Bandcamp can make sales and stuff. So I'm trying to like see what happens if I do this, and you'll see what the ramifications of that were when we look at the stats. But we're doing a conversion campaign, driving people to this page. When people click one of these platforms, they go to Spotify or wherever, and that tracks as a conversion. And overall, we have a cost per conversion of 68 cents, which if you know me, that's a pretty not good result, right? And this is just the reality of running ads. I show a lot of great campaigns, but not every song will do great. You might have multiple songs in a row that don't do great. But I've had songs that do way better than this, right? If I back out here, I have, some of these campaigns are kind of secret at the moment, so to speak. But like this Fear USA only campaign is doing better, and it's USA only, right? And I have a 24-cent campaign for Forget, a 35 cents for Fear. So I've had campaigns do way better than this one, right? And I've showed other people's music as well that I've run for campaigns for my agency that's done even better than my own music too, right? So this is a bad result so far, but there's a lot of improvements that have happened as well. So diving into the campaign, actually, before I go too granular, I will mention that we are also doing some showcase / marquee. So far, we've done about $300 finished. There's another $245 that has happened, and there's a little $50 more going. So $600 of showcase and marquee, right? We're at like $900 in meta ads. We're at $600 showcase and marquee. And I'm going to get comments about people saying like, what the hell? Like you're spending all this money on streaming, blah, blah, blah. I've talked about that a million times in previous videos. Just like ignore that perspective here. I'm not trying to necessarily make this a profitable campaign. And I've talked ad nauseum about how you can get profitable campaigns in streaming, but typically you don't run a campaign like this for profit. You're doing this to promote the project, and then you end up, if you're a band, you can't really play shows unless you have fans. You can't sell merch unless you have fans. You can't get better collabs unless you have fans. You can't get the attention of a record label unless you have fans. That's not why I'm doing it, but those are a lot of the reasons why people run these campaigns. It's not necessarily trying to make a profit month over month. That being said, I normally wouldn't go this crazy with it, but I have the luxury of being able to make content about this and show you what happened and justify my expense that way. So we have $600 of marquee and showcase. Ordinarily, I would never do that, but I wanted to see what kind of effect that had. I also wanted to see what happened if I mixed in playlisting fairly early on. So we do have some third-party playlisting going on. My ad agency also has some partners that do third-party playlisting. So I hit some of them up and saw if they had some playlists where this fits. So we have this Linkin Park kind of like new metal-y themed playlist. We also have this sexiest Deftones playlist. Just move it down, slip out Linkin Park, gym workout. Some of this was also Submit Hub. I did a small Submit Hub campaign for maybe $50. Some of these playlists are mine too. Like this is Every Waking Moment, Discover Weekly, but it's all hard rock, alt metal. Between the Broken Stars was Submit Hub, Catchy Core Submit Hub, Alternative Metal's mine, Defcon Score's mine, Submit Hub, mine. So we did some third-party playlisting here and mixed that all in, and that's every way that we're promoting it. So meta ads, third-party playlisting, showcase, marquee, or in this case, it was just Showcase because I didn't have Marquee for this project. So going back to the meta ads first, things aren't going well, right? But they're a huge improvement, and I'm still making strides to get them better. And let me show you what I mean. If you look at some of these ad sets that are turned off down here, we have ones that are 83 cents, 90 cents, $1.28, $4.27, $2.33, right? Pretty bad. So, you know, we've made some strides to get this campaign better just by testing different ad creatives, testing different audiences along the way. Mostly ad creatives, though, actually. And this is the campaign I've set up differently from how I've done a lot of the videos on this channel. But this is a technique I've used sometimes when I want more granularity over ad creatives and testing. A lot of you guys know this as how like Jen sets up ads. You might have seen an interview on my channel with Jen. I'll link here. But this is how he normally does it. This is how I do it sometimes. And this is one of those sometimes because I had a million ads and I still have more ads. But the idea was that I am setting like individual ad creatives to have like a fixed spend. And then I'm testing to see what happens. And then once I find some winning ads, I'm testing other audiences. And then I'm merging ads and combining them in different ad sets. I also ran some of these before the song actually came out. So like 2 or 3 days before the song came out, I ran some of these just so I could start testing early. I wasn't trying to get pre-saves, although I did get like 30 lifetime pre-saves or something. I was really just trying to see like what ads did better or worse so that I would have a head start hitting the ground running from day one, essentially. Because it's, you know, if you wait till day one, your campaign has to start that learning process immediately. But if you start early, you can start that process early instead of having to wait till that day at the expense of kind of not wasting money, but spending money less effectively. And so the actual ad creatives that we've used are pretty diverse. I'll show you a couple so you know what I mean. And if you're wondering, like, how do I set up a campaign like this from start to finish, I have a video right here you can check out. And I also have a course link below, Spotify Growth Machine, if you want to see like the nitty gritty. But that video, great starting point. If that's not enough, I have like a course and consulting and agency, all that stuff. But start there. I had this ad I made called the barcode ad, just kind of like a visualizer thing. It looks like a barcode, so I called it the barcode ad. And I had 5 versions of those, just 5 different parts of the song. I also had V1, which was like an animated glitchy artwork thing. By the way, I actually hired a human artist to do this. I didn't use AI. One thing we're doing for my band going forward, no more AI artwork. We're only working with real artists going forward, just because I kind of adopted the AI artwork a little bit earlier, like when it was newer for using it for album artwork. But now I feel like it kind of starts to look very samey. And we have the budget to justify hiring a human artist. So we're going to do it, right? And I think it came out way freaking better as a result. So we have a few different variations of that, 4 different ads. And then we also had V2, which was kind of like, we call this the topic style. It's like, you know, new alternative metal for your playlist, sounds like, and it lists some artists that I gave my team. But the video creators at my agency made these for me. They also made me the V1s as well for me. The barcodes ones I made myself. And we also have a visual 3 that has no text on it. It's just stock footage. And we also have a visual 2, which is no text or call to action, which is the same thing as the one I just showed you, but essentially with no text on it. Because I wanted to see how that does. And this one's actually just published, so it hasn't got any data yet. We also have the skeleton ad. This one I just published. I have a stock footage account over at ArtGrid, and I've just downloaded a bunch of clips that I think fit, and I'm just testing these as new ads, right? And this is where I'm going with this, right? Like, I've already tried a bunch of stuff. I want to try more stuff because I want to see if I can get the audiences or get the ad sets and ads performing even better than they currently are. So the current winners are essentially like ad 4, but the winning audience so far is actually a lookalike / retargeting ad set that I built. But also just a broad audience is working almost as good. And this is just targeting, all these targets have been since removed, by the way, or consolidated. I made a brief video about that here if you want to learn more about that BS. But alternative metal, architects, Asking Alexander, Bring the Horizon, Earshot. I'm targeting all this individually. But this one's tier 1 or HP, which is another, what we call high paying countries. So HP. This one's tier 2. So this HP is actually doing almost as good as the tier 1, 2 lookalike. And so we have a mix of tier 2 and tier 1 only results, where I think, let me look at the country breakdown here. The biggest country is actually the United States. So our cost per conversion is high, but it's high because the number one country getting conversions from is the US, and the US is very expensive to run ads to. So that's the meta campaign, but there's also the landing page side of things. So if we take a look at the landing page, this is the distribution of conversions. Remember how I mentioned how we had Apple first and then YouTube Music and then Spotify? This is the price that this campaign has paid for that. We're losing more than 50% of the conversions to other platforms. There's pros and cons to that, right? The pros, Apple and YouTube Music pay way more than Spotify. YouTube pays worse than Spotify, but YouTube Music pays like triple, depending on the country, but it's at least double. And Apple Music is typically about double as well. But Spotify is where you get the algorithmic traction, right? Even so far, this campaign's super new. We already have 27% algorithmic traction. Less than 2 weeks old. We're already in radio. We're already in Discover Weekly. We've got an algorithmic release radar push. We're already on mixes. We're already on your DJ. We're already on Daylist, right? That's actually a fantastic result to have all these algorithmic playlists so far. And this is why I've been trying this multi-channel approach here, especially when I saw how expensive my campaign was running. I was like, I need to compensate for that somehow. The strategy was, let's just like throw a bunch of different stuff at this song, a bunch of people from different places. And it seems like it's working. Like, we're hitting these algorithmic playlists super early. Again, the time is going to change this entirely. The vast majority of streams you get for Marketing Song happen after the campaign's over. I've had songs where you drive like 10,000 streams during the campaign. You look at it a year later and it has 150,000 streams, right? Just because people keep listening. So that's something to consider here. But I'll make future videos about this campaign, probably like, I don't know, maybe there'll be another one in a month, but maybe there'll be one a little bit further out, and then you'll be able to see kind of how this did. And if I remember, maybe I'll link it down below if you're watching this in the future, but maybe not. So that's the price we've paid about linking it in that way, is that we're losing stuff to Spotify. But if we look over at Apple, wrong website, if we look over at Apple here, we have 800 plays on Apple, right? And so we're not getting as much of like a push. We've driven 400 people here. We've got an 800 plays. We don't know how many individual listeners that is. They give us like average daily listeners, but this is the daily listeners thing. They're just not adding up. So we could technically add this all up, but let's just say it's an average of 45 and it's just to cost 10 days or something. That's 450 listeners. Then we go look at streams or plays as they call them. And there's 821. So it's like two-ish streams per listener. I'm not going to bother doing the math in front of you. But then there's also YouTube. I pulled up the YouTube. This is like the YouTube music video that gets uploaded. So there's 976 plays here. So nearly 1,000. We can look, average view duration is 1:28. Unique viewers 478, so also about stream per listener of 2. We also uploaded a video. We have a lyric video coming. It's been taking longer than planned, but we have 177 views on this like 12-minute video. That's the whole EP. So we waterfalled this song with several other songs we've already had released. So like we have this 4-song thing here, and that this video is just all 4 of those songs, because I wanted to try to get more watch time hours from promoting this, just to make it easier for us to get monetized on YouTube. We have a long way to go, but longer videos is going to help that over time, and I want to keep making longer videos to try to help that. So we also get this, so over 1,000 views on YouTube. So that's kind of like the all-in, and there's also Deezer and Tidal and all that stuff. I'm not going to bother taking a look at that. That's kind of like what we're getting from this meta ad campaign. Now, going back to the Spotify side, we're going to take a quick peek at these marquees, or these showcases rather. This $300 one that's done, let me zoom in, 1,000 listeners, and so about 50% of the people clicked, turned into listeners, and about 15% of them saved the song to their library or added to a playlist. This was broken down into 3 individual showcases. So one, $100 in Australia, $100 in Brazil, and $100 in the US. And this was how that data broke down here. So the US ended up being the best intent rate, but Brazil's way cheaper, right? So that's why I did these 3, is because I wanted to kind of balance the scales and try different things. Some stuff's like more expensive, but more engagement. Some stuff's cheaper, but less engagement. That's kind of my motto, right? That's why I target the cheaper countries, to try to balance it out. Spotify seems to not really care about where people come from, as long as they're engaging. That's really what it matters. And that's really my methodology too. I'm not a touring artist, at least not currently. So I really don't care where people are from, as long as they're listening and loving the music. That's all I really care about. Obviously, United States streams pay better than Brazil streams, but at this moment in time, that's not my main concern. Now, another interesting thing on the Spotify side is we also did have the countdown page, and we only had it for, I think, a week, maybe. And with this countdown page, one part of the pre-release marketing is they actually tried like driving people directly to this page. So this was when I initially published it, and then it kind of died off. And then I turned on an ad campaign driving people to this page as a destination until the song came out on this day. And it worked, right? Like I don't know what the daily average was. We have one data point here. Let's just assume it's this 8. Because this is like initial hype and this is like it falling off. So we were getting like an extra 10 pre-saves a day. Part of this is from the Spotify thing, but I also do have lifetime pre-save set up on Feature FM and Smart Noise. So I have these lifetime pre-save tools set up. And so I have some on each of them as I've tested out these tools and run campaigns on them over time. So this is the overall kind of push, right? This is where I'm at. Obviously, you can see there's some bad things. The cost per conversion campaign on Meta is kind of high, but it's improving, and a lot of it is in tier 1 countries. But we're blending the showcase stuff, and we're blending the playlisting, and we also do have a good amount of streams on Apple and YouTube Music, which actually pay considerably better. And we're hitting these algorithmic playlists super early, which I'm the most hopeful for this. So seeing this, I'm kind of like ramping up some spend, because I'm kind of trying to see if I take like a big push in this song, even though it's more expensive, can these algorithmic playlists make the whole thing worth it or not? And we'll see, right? It might not be worth it. This might be a bigger waste of money than I initially planned, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. So let me know in the comments below if you have any ideas, things I should try. I'm still trying much more videos, but I'm open to your ideas. And if you want to see that video on how to set up campaigns like that, check it out right here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.